Every museum has its own special story to tell. More than 200 years ago in England, the first nation to bring about an industrial revolution, a gifted artist appeared on the scene. Today, we will visit a museum that boasts the world's most extensive collection of paintings by this man. We take the water shuttle linking Tate Britain and Tate Modern to a private pier just down the bank from the museum. This building, reminiscent of an ancient Greek temple, is Tate Britain. The museum was known as Tate Gallery before the opening of sister museum Tate Modern in 2000. Masterpieces by British artists from the 16th century to the present are all under one roof at Tate Britain. Like Britain's other national museums, Tate Britain charges no admission fee and is open to the public throughout the year except Christmas Day. Art enthusiasts are welcome to come look at their favorite paintings whenever they like. Of the many masterpieces at Tate Britain, the ones that have given the museum such a high profile are displayed in the Clore Gallery. They form a collection of paintings by 19th century landscape artist Joseph Mallard William Turner that Britain may claim as the world's most extensive. The collection hinges on paintings bequeathed to the nation by the artist and includes some 20,000 items, from oils to studies. Turner often dealt with historical and mythological themes in his paintings. But his illustrious reputation does not stem from his depictions of ancient tales. Sunlight reflected on water, mist-filled air, a golden sun. It is these varied manifestations of the natural world that make Turner's works so appealing. A painting on a blizzard theme. It depicts a steamboat caught in an atmospheric vortex, being tossed about on angry waves. The subject of this painting is nature's fury, an unsubduable fierceness that overwhelms the efforts of man. Sun setting over a lake. Turner evokes the tranquil scene of a sun setting through subtly colored mist. Light, water, and air. What was Turner trying to convey through these elements of nature? Clues about Turner's approach to nature can be found in the prints and drawings rooms at Tate Britain.
Thousands of drawings and watercolors.
Inside these drawers are 300 sketchbooks that Turner filled from the time he was a teenager until later in life.
They date from wherever he was, wherever he travelled, he was constantly making drawings, and they range from the slightest little sketch, just a sort of on-the-spot notation of something that had caught his eye, to really quite a finished and elaborate drawing or study. This is one that contains mostly watercolour studies of skies. Turner was absolutely fascinated by the sky. He was fascinated by different effects of light, weather, and really from the 1820s and 30s onwards, he spent a lot of time recording effects like this. This is a marvellous sunset, perhaps. One might imagine that the sun has already set, but it's left a red glow in the sky, and then the new moon is just rising.
Turner quickly and accurately captured the panorama of light and drifting clouds. He fastened his gaze on nature and burned each moment into memory. This was a practice he maintained throughout his life. Tate Britain has a self-portrait by Turner that he painted around the age of 24. It was at this time that he received the highest honor of his career as an artist. He became the youngest associate member named to the Royal Academy of Arts. 3 years later, he became a full member. Turner was always in the spotlight of the British art community. A fruit and vegetable market for the tables of London flourished in Covent Garden in the city centre. This was the area where Turner was born in 1775. Turner's father was a skilled barber. Turner was an only son, and he so filled his father with pride that the elder Turner is said to have placed his artistic son's paintings in the shop window. The River Thames flows close to Covent Garden. This area was Turner's childhood playground. Sunlight gleaming off the water's surface, waves spreading outward from boats plying the river, the sky and clouds expanding overhead. The scenes viewed here as a youth obviously left an indelible impression in the artist's mind. Fisherman at Sea at Tate Britain. It's the first oil painting that Turner presented to the Royal Academy of Arts. He was 21. Light from a blue-white moon shines out from between broken clouds. It contrasts sharply with the warm glow from the boat's lamp. Buoys seem to bob in and out of sight between the waves. The fishermen look as if they are about to draw up the net. A big wave shudders at the bottom of the boat, emphasizing the power of nature. At the end of the 18th century, when Turner was just starting out as an artist, travel within the country was gaining popularity among the English. Books on travel, such as commentaries on old ruins and historical buildings at tourist destinations, the precursor to today's guidebooks, were published in steady succession.
So if you'd like to come this way, there's a book here which I think Turner would have been familiar with. It's, as you can see, it's contemporary. This is an 18th century binding. You had to pay almost the same price for the binding as you did for the book in those days. This was a fairly typical book of the time with illustrations.
Illustrations depicting old ruins and buildings became a new source of income for artists. Many artists headed for the English countryside to draw sketches that would later become travel book pictures. Young Turner was no exception to the trend. Tate Britain has 2 sketchbooks that Turner filled on a trip to the north of England at age 22. This trip marked an important turning point in his life, for it was on this trip that he decided to become a landscape artist. In the summer of 1797, Turner boarded a stagecoach heading north. It took him as far as the northern tip of England, after which he journeyed on foot to the Lake District in the west. It was a tour that lasted 2 months. The English countryside is dotted with ruins from the Middle Ages. Fountains Abbey. Once, it wielded great influence in England, and even in Turner's day, the ruins were a popular destination for visitors to Yorkshire. Turner sat on the foundation stone of a church pillar and opened his sketchbook. The morning sun had lit up the building from the east, and Turner stayed on that stone sketching page after page until the slanted rays of the evening sun fell from the west. He spent a month sketching old ruins, drawing, then moving on. Each location filled pages in the sketchbook. He went as far as the Northumberland coast, the northernmost point of England. The area around Dunstanburgh Castle, which stands high upon a promontory, is brimming with the varied expressions of nature. The wind and the waves, the light of the sun and the shade of the clouds. It was around this time that a change is seen in Turner's sketches. The castle becomes just a component of the scene, while the ferocious waves of the North Sea that wash up the shore feature more prominently. The Tweed River, on the border separating England and Scotland. Turner must have waited patiently in the darkness for the early morning mist to rise. The rising sun illuminated the landscape, revealing Norham Castle high on a hill in the east. But the castle in Turner's sketch lacks the detail that so characterized the sketches of the old buildings he drew at the start of his travels. On the other side of the indistinct qualities that hang in the air before the mist rises, Norham Castle stands as a silhouette in the morning sun. The Lake District, the highlight of Turner's travels, is a place of scenic beauty, with lakes of various sizes scattered between the mountains shaped by glaciers during the Ice Age. According to meteorological records, an unfortunate spell of rain persisted while Turner was in this area. While tourists and fellow artists waited inside the inn for the weather to clear, Turner went out to sketch mountains seen hazily through the rain. To Turner, rain and storms were not adverse conditions standing in his way, no. Like the sun on clear days, bad weather now provided useful elements for wonderful scenic expressions. A sudden shower occurred on the day Turner drew this sketch, too. Standing on the edge of chromic water, he saw a ray of light emerge from the dark clouds, thus creating a curtain of light at the center. Turner quickly captured that moment in his sketchbook. The oil painting based on the sketch is on display at Tate Britain. He must have wanted to emphasize the joy of the moment when the ray of light broke through. He turned it into a rainbow. Turner realized that his duty as an artist was to freeze moments created by nature, glittering like gemstones, onto his canvas. On his travels in the north of England, he had come to realize nature's depth and tried to demonstrate this realization in the dramatic expressions of nature, rain and wind and snowstorms. A major work, this gathering vortex of black clouds. The theme of his painting is the crossing of the Alps by the Carthaginian general Hannibal on his successful invasion of the Roman Empire in the 3rd century BC. But Hannibal and his army are relegated to the bottom of the canvas. The swirling black clouds are based on a storm that Turner encountered in Yorkshire. Turner apparently yelled, "Look at this lightning and storm! How magnificent and wonderfully sublime!" And mesmerized, he captured the colors and shapes he saw on the back of a letter he carried. This researcher believes the times in which Turner lived had a major influence on his interest in atmospheric phenomena. John Thorns, a professor in the School of Geography, Earth, and Environment Sciences at the University of Birmingham, analyzes Turner's paintings from a meteorological perspective.
Certainly, this period between the end of the 18th century and the early part of the 19th century was a very active volcanic period, and this made the colours of the sky more spectacular. So particularly the sunrises and the sunsets were much more vivid. You had many more sort of oranges and yellows and reds in the sky, and this comes out in the almost obsession at times. People now think an obsession that Turner had with the sun and the sunrise and sunsets.
Snowstorm, exhibited in 1842. Critics of this painting, which depicts a raging storm, said it was a mass of soapsuds and whitewash and unrealistic. But Turner blasted out at his critics, saying that he had gathered images for the painting by having himself lashed to the mast of a ship and experiencing a storm firsthand.
But the whole thing is in a kind of vortex, and it's very interesting from a meteorological point of view, because of course the atmosphere is full of turbulence and eddies and so on, which we can't normally see. So Turner brings these alive for us, so that this is a sort of visual representation of what the atmosphere is really like. And although Turner was criticised for exaggerating often his pictures, in reality, from a meteorological point of view, it's not exaggeration that we're looking at here. It's sort of unusual, unique moments in time which did actually exist.
Tate Britain has a pair of paintings by Turner produced when he was 68. Shade and Darkness depicts the biblical story of the Great Flood found in the First Testament. Instead of a vortex like the one that engulfs Hannibal's army or the steamship in a snowstorm, Turner has used the deluge as the force of nature that engulfs man and beast. Light and Color depicts the world's rebirth after the Great Flood. At the center, Turner has placed the figure of Moses, making an entry in the book of Genesis. The atmospheric whorl envelops a religious theme as well as other aspects, and radiates light as a huge, encompassing ball of energy. Turner said, "In this country of changeable climate, where we may experience the 4 seasons all in one day, the atmospheric conditions, including mist, engulf all things. Nature toys with man, albeit with dignity, offering various phenomena to the artist. To be touched by the forms of ever-changing time and place and lock the images into memory. What happiness is found in nature that so excites us." Norham Castle, Sunrise, painted by Turner at 70. Half a century had passed since that summer at 22 when he gazed upon this castle during his travels in the north of England. Turner had continued to observe nature, and the last thing he tried to convey in this picture was the spirit of the great outdoors, the breath of the air that envelops everything. If you should find yourself at Tate Britain, linger a while in front of Turner's paintings. You will surely sense the presence of the artist inspired by the momentary twinkling of nature's power.